Throughout this project, Trish Morrissey posed with her siblings. The project name was 7 Years, assuming that it was to show the differences of 7 different years of her life. Here we can see Morrissey dressed somewhat teenage-like, with sandals and socks. Very much outside gear. As a teenager, clothing you wouldn't mind getting dirty. I feel throughout this project we can see a lot of ourselves within Trish's images and can see situations that we can somewhat understand and remember. The interesting thing about Morrissey is that she always seems to be in front of the camera. This is something I hope to take into my own work simply because it is interesting to see how many different styles and identities that she can pull off. This one here makes me personally think of when I used "visit my grandma," something I am sure a lot of people can identify with. The facial expressions of Morrissey here shows that it is embarrassing to have your grandma holding your arm for a photograph, and this one is one I love because of the time period it is set in, the flared trousers and the straight faces. Most likely a time when songs like "Heaven is a Place on Earth" is playing on the radio, a time of bliss when video had not yet killed the radio star. As we continue, we are beginning to notice possible different stories that could go with the images, as if she had literally walked down a street and took photographs of many different random people. It makes us question what these people were like and forces us to use our imagination. My project won't be exploring form and color but life. Normal situations and normal people. It's like people watching but the people don't move. A freeze in time that allows us to really evaluate and think about the people depicted. Moving on to a different project by Morrissey, this one is called Front. Assuming because all the photographs were taken on the seafront. For this project, Morrissey approached random families on beaches in the UK and Melbourne and asked a female family member if she could borrow their clothes and resume their position whilst a photograph was taken. This often made it look like the photographs were simple family photos, but we are forced to think twice with Morrissey because she in fact often took over the mother figure within these photos. For each photograph, Morrissey titled them after the person she was impersonating somewhat. It seemed important to her that she was able to fit in naturally within any group of people, and she certainly pulls it off well. I personally believe that she is attempting a form of activism against social norms. She is placing herself into a photograph and looking normal. We don't question the photographs without context. We have no reason to, and that is the beauty of it. In this photograph titled Rachel Hodson, Morrissey is posing as the mother figure, and all children and father, and smiling. They seem okay with the fact that a random woman has just asked to have a photograph dressed in the mother's clothes. Whilst looking at the photograph descriptions, it says that Morrissey was exploring boundaries and seeing just how far she could push a person to get the photographs. This final photograph by Morrissey shows yet another happy family on the beach, just a normal day. Wrong, this woman, as we very well know, is an imposter. She has made the idea of being natural an art form, tricking our brains into thinking nothing is amiss because we are completely used to seeing these situations. We have grown up with the ideology that we have a mother, father, and siblings. So when a woman, a man, and a child are at the beach smiling, we automatically assume that it is in fact a family. Moving on, we have Hans Ekelboom, a Swedish photographer who, like Morrissey, used the concept of belonging within some of his work. He decided to go around apartments when the father figures had left and set up a self-time camera and took a family photograph. Once again, we see nothing unnatural because we are used to seeing a mother, father, and children. The concept that normality is now art, our identities are all alike. Within this photograph, we can see Hans posing with another family. Using the ideology just like Morris's photos, it looks like a normal family. We may also think, why on earth would someone let a random man into their home to have a photograph with them? But this is a construct that would have been okay when the photos were taken. Crime was lower and people were considered safer and nicer. This is an important factor within these photographs because during this time the norms were very much the men went to work and women stayed home to look after the children and cook dinner. In recent years we have begun to break these constructs where now a woman can do whatever a man can and vice versa. It is now okay for a man to raise a child and for a woman to fix cars. It is even okay now for a child to have 2 fathers or 2 mothers. It seems that as time goes by, society becomes more accepting of different people and we are breaking the norms and creating new ones. Apologies for this photograph not being the best quality, but as we can see, the children within the photograph look very at ease with Hans. We can somewhat imagine them as a family and try and image what sort of family they are. Quite possible imagining them with these social norms. Like, I wonder what job the father has or what the mother is making for dinner. How old are the children and what kind of things do they do as a family? Moving on to some more of Hans's work, this selection of images is extremely interesting because these are taken within the past 15 years or less. From these we can see a lot of similarities within people walking around the streets. These photographs were taken in Amsterdam on the 4th July 2009 between the time of 18-19:15 in the evening. It is amazing to see that so many people wear similar clothing. Perhaps this is because it is a trend and people feel the need to keep up with society within these trends. The great difference between these images and the ones of Hans taking over the father figure within people's apartments is that from the time they were taken to now, social norms have completely changed. Once again taken in Amsterdam on the 1st August between the hours of 16-18 in the evening, we can see many topless men, a lot with harnesses and leather clothing. Within Amsterdam culture, it is perfectly acceptable to be homosexual and flaunt it. This is a social norm that would not have been allowed many years earlier that is now accepted. For this typology, we can see that it was taken earlier than the past two. These photographs were taken on the 17th November 1995 between the hours of 12:15 p.m. 13 in the afternoon. This is amazing because within 45 minutes Hans has managed to capture 15 images of men all wearing extremely similar suits. This to me adds to the fact that a lot of people follow society's norms. An aspect of storytelling also comes to light within these images. We are assuming that all these men work in tall buildings in an office, either selling insurance or working for the government. 2 years on, the summer of 1997, within a 30-minute gap, Hans was able to capture 15 photographs of men rollerblading topless. That's pretty impressive, but I feel we have social norms to thank for it. Style and trends seem to keep people on the right track. If you are different and not a part of norms, we have this feeling that we are not accepted. It is easier to be like everyone else and follow the rules than go against social norms just in case you are frowned upon or not accepted. Trends, trends, trends. We could make a game of this. This typology was copied in 2006 in Paris, Benjamin Petit Quesanty. That's right, you guessed, everyone in these photographs are carrying men bags. But to make it even more impressive, they all have the same pattern. This is because of a concept called group polarization. This is the idea of other people's influences on ourselves. The concept that if other people do it, then it's right. The idea that you can't be picked out from the crowd if you are all the same. Someone can't say they don't like your shoes if you're all wearing them. The images above were taken in Birmingham, and these types of people are often labeled as chavs. And on to our final type, old boy from the Fantastic Hans. The thing I love about this one is that he has managed to spot 9 sets of people wearing the same outfits in a pair within an hour. That's right, folks, all these photographs were taken in one place within an hour. Now, if that doesn't shout out about following the crowd, I don't know what does. The interesting thing about all the photographs I have just looked at is that they are all very much the same, and all have the same concept. It's a scary one that really does make us think. It makes us think about ourselves and how we are all just copies of one another. Remember, stay true and be you. Not a copy. It's a new world out there, and being individual is great. It is now time to make individuality the norm. This took a lot of Red Bull. Peace out.